Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of SkyTools. I am TDQ and today we're going to go over wood and all of your options with wood. So we're going to go over each tree, oak, acacia, dark oak, jungle. We're going to go over all six. We're going to go over how they can grow and what configurations they can grow. And then we're going to go over some ways that you can farm them more efficiently. So first up, we have the oak tree. It can be in a 1x1. It can also be dropped down to the ground by 1. Okay, these are the most versatile tree. These are the ones you'll also often be able to use in your tree farms. These can also grow side by side. A little bit of bone meal and some luck, you can get them all lined up like that. And you can also limit whether or not they're going to grow extra branches by putting a limiter block on top at 7.5 on the 8th block, basically. And that's oak trees. Next up, we have birch. Now, birch can also be grown side by side. It's a little more difficult. And it can also be grown in a 1x1, which can also be dropped down into the ground 1. Now, you can put limiters on the birch. If it's the same level as your oak, it's going to limit the birch a lot more. So you may want to think about raising that up another block or so. Just like that. Right there. So that would be on 9, basically. I do like the leaves. It's not as nice as the oak leaves, but they're nice leaves. This is terrifying and a nightmare, and it looks like little bats, actually. But the stripped version is so pretty, so very pretty. It's a very creamy color, unlike the oak, which is more of a coffee. And yes, I'm sure by that word you can tell where I'm from. Let's go get a cup of coffee. But that's birch. Now here is acacia. Acacia is a funny one. So you can grow it in a 1x1, and you can grow it 1 down. And you can even grow it side by side, but it's never going to be as pretty and as much of a block as the previous 2 trees. You get these weird little growths where the branches offshoot, and it just doesn't work out. So you're not going to be able to farm these as efficiently if you grow them side by side. See, this is not something I cut. This is, again, the way the branches grew. These leaves look very much like jungle vines, which is pretty cool. Now, these strip into this almost creamy cherry, foxy orange-red thing, which is pretty nice, but I do kind of prefer the gray of the bark a little more. Works with a lot more stone builds. This has to be more of a very specific build to work. Now, we don't have anything to show you where it would look nice next to, but just trust us. This color works occasionally. Now, we don't have any limiters on the acacia. Can't really do limiters with this one. And now, here we are with the mighty spruce tree. You can grow these 1x1, and these can also be grown down 1 block. They cannot be grown next to each other. These are not trees that can grow next to each other. They can, however, grow in a 4x4. These can have no limiter, so don't even try. But the most efficient way to tear these down is to actually staircase up them by chopping them down. Just like this. Then when you get to the top, you basically just spiral your axe down, and you get down pretty quick. Now, what's awesome about spruce is you can also farm podzol with this, because podzol is created under the floor of a 4x4 spruce. So that's handy if you're also looking for a podzol farm. And they are handy for a lot of wood. Now, the jungle. The jungle is another one where you can also grow it in a 1x1, but you can't grow it side by side unless you're doing a 2x2. And the 2x2 is the largest tree you can get in Minecraft, this jungle tree. And the idea is you go up the vines, you cut into it, you tear it down from the bottom. Really nice and simple. The vines, you can always farm those, and if you have any cocoa beans, you can place them on the jungle tree, just by getting rid of some of these vines, and placing them on the actual log. It has to be on a jungle log, otherwise it won't actually grow. And you can just farm them like that, if you're willing to not tear this down for its wood. And lastly, we have the dark oak. Now the dark oak, hello bats, the dark oak will actually drop apples as well, just like the regular oak. And it generates a lot of wood for you, a lot more safely than the jungle or the spruce, because you don't have to go up as high. You're not going to die from fall damage if you do fall. But again, when you want to cut this down, you just staircase up just like you did with the spruce, or if you want to, like the jungle. You certainly don't have to use the vines on the jungle. And then you just go down from the bottom, just like we did before. Now the dark oak actually is pretty good with its saplings, not as stingy as the jungle or the spruce, but you still want to make sure you're around to pick them up. Now, let's go over the ways you can farm them. This is the first simple one, and basically you're just putting a bunch of blocks between each tree and then torches in between all those trees. That way you have a space to walk and cut and collect, and you can just chop it down. And it's not that efficient. You have to go through the leaves, you have to wait for everything to despawn, but you get what you need. And you can always replant. But everything's manual here. Very, very manual farm, very simple, no redstone required, no pistons, nothing of the sort. Now, is this enough for you, or do you want more? Do you want something that is even more complicated, that's going to get you into a nice block, where you could possibly blow it up later, or just cut it down to your convenience? Well, I got something for you. And here it is. Now, this is very simple, and before you say, it's absolutely not, the mechanics are very simple. Ignore everything but this. So there's a power right here, which goes into a repeater. That power source powers the repeater. Once that tree becomes a block, it becomes an actual tree, not a sapling, that becomes powered, at which point it goes through to the other repeater and goes down our redstone line. It's one redstone line. That's all it is. It's split off a couple ways, but it is one redstone line powering this entire farm. So we'll carry on with this one. This is the one that's going to push all of the wood out. And it's really simple. The observer is looking down for both of these, as well as this one, at the redstone below it. When the redstone lights up, it powers the observer to push out a redstone signal. That's it. That's as simple as it is. Every time it gets an update, they all get an update, they all push the pistons. We need this space here because the observer will not actually power both of these pistons if it's in this location. So we need a block there, which is a full block, so we can get that bud power. Besides that, all these other pistons are just to crush leaves, because we want to get all the saplings back so that it's fairly lossless when it comes to saplings. So it's the same setup, and it's all coming off of that power. And all of these pistons will push out and break all the leaves when this tree is moved. And we have one back here as well to push them break the leaves from back here as well. This is, again, all one line of redstone. Because we have enough repeaters, because we have observers creating new events, we don't have to do much of anything else. We can all power it off of that one event, which is the tree growing. So pretty cool, pretty simple. And we have the glowstone up here as the limiter, so that it won't grow into some massive crazy tree that we can't handle. All these hoppers down here are to collect the saplings when the leaves are broken. And they all go into this right here. This barrel goes into a hopper, which goes into this dropper. This dropper keeps giving us all of our bone meal, all of our saplings, so that we never run out while we're at the farm. Now, in a perfect world, we would fill that entire barrel up with bone meal. But this is just for demonstration purposes. So we're putting some saplings in there as well, just so it'll limit what goes into that dispenser. Let's grab some bone meal. Let's turn this on. Now we're just holding right click because we have the saplings in our offhand and the bone meal in our current hand. So as long as we press right click, it will not only plant the sapling, but it'll bone meal it. So yeah, see how well that's working? And I'm sure there are ways to make the rates better with how quickly it grows. But again, this is a very simplified farm. Now, if you notice, all but these two leaf blocks here, and that one here, have all been broken. It's very efficient with the leaf blocks. And there we go. So we're in survival now. We're just gonna do some tree making, and once I'm out of bone meal, I'll bring you back. Okay, so I'm out of bone meal, and let's take a look here. I love that glowstone now carries a redstone signal. It's very, very nice because that means it keeps the light level here at 13. Very nice. Very cool. And it works very well. So let's take a look inside. Now, for the piston tape, it's very simple. Again, it's just a redstone power source, which once that's a block, will power it, which powers the repeater and hits all the pistons. So it'll push that further along in the same way we did before with the observers and the redstone updates. Just like that, and then over into a full block so that it can get both pistons. We have a lot of wood here, guys. This worked really well. And it was a couple more trees and it would have pushed over again. But then this is for the massive wall so that it pushes over as a group. And that's the tree farm. If you want more in-depth description, I can certainly make a video. Just let me know in the comments. But there are a lot of videos out there for tree farms that do full-on tutorials. Not everyone does it the same as I just did, but I find this is the simplest way with a combination of observers for the power and the redstone torches for the movement. And we got a lot of saplings from that. A lot of saplings. It does not work for birch. It does not work for spruce, nor does it work for jungle. But it sure does work for oak. And that's going to be all for today, guys. Thank you all for watching. If you haven't already, hit that like button. And if you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel. Both really help me out. If you have any questions about what you saw today, or if you want to see more in-depth information regarding it, please leave me a comment, shoot me an email. Both are in the description of the video. So until next time, goodbye.